The command center of the Galactic Defense Coalition stretched across 5 levels of gleaming metal and bright lights. General Vexstar sat in his large chair, his green scales catching the light from dozens of screens. Around him, officers from different alien species worked at their stations. "Another successful conquest, General," said Admiral Zofinin. Her crystal body made soft ringing sounds as she moved. "The Kalani system is now under Coalition control." "Excellent," Vexstar replied. "That makes it system number 847. Our expansion continues perfectly." Commander Killinan walked up to the main table where both generals stood. He carried a data pad, filled with reports. "Sir, I have the weekly intelligence summary." "Go ahead, Commander." "All enemy fleets have been destroyed or surrendered. Our territory now covers 200 star systems. No major threats remain in our sector." General Vexstar looked pleased. The Coalition had been conquering worlds for 300 years. They had the best ships, the strongest weapons, and the smartest military minds. No species could stand against them for long. "What about those small civilizations we haven't contacted yet?" Admiral Zofinin asked. "Most are too primitive to be a threat," Killinan answered. "A few have basic space travel, but nothing that can challenge our fleets." "Show me the list." Commander Killinan activated the hologram above the table. Images of different planets appeared, each with data about the species living there. The Zelkani have impressive ground armies, but no space warships. The Fortani are good at building, but weak at fighting. The Macron species lives only on water worlds, so they can't expand much. "And what about this one?" General Vexstar pointed at a blue and green planet. "That's Earth, sir, home to a species called humans. They're particularly primitive." Admiral Zofinin leaned closer to study the planet. "What makes them so primitive?" "They fight each other constantly, ma'am. Wars happen all over their planet. They have nuclear weapons, but use them against their own species. They've barely left their home world." "Have they tried to explore space?" "Yes, but very badly," Killinan said with amusement. "They sent a few small ships to their moon. They have a tiny station orbiting their planet. They dream of visiting the red planet in their system, but they can't even survive the trip." General Vexstar laughed. "They can't reach the next planet in their own system. How pathetic." "It gets worse, sir. Their planet is what we classify as a death world. High radiation, dangerous weather, poisonous creatures everywhere. Most Coalition species would die there in days." "Then how do they survive?" "Barely, sir. They have short lifespans and weak bodies. They need special equipment just to breathe, underwater, or survive in cold places. They're trapped on their own world because it's the only place they can live." Admiral Zofinan's crystal body stopped ringing as she studied the data. "This planet Earth ... It has very strong gravity, unstable weather, and dangerous radiation from their star." "Yes, ma'am. That's why we classify it as a death world. No civilized species would choose to live there, but the humans evolved there. Unfortunately for them, yes. It explains why they're so primitive. They spend all their energy just trying to survive on their own planet." General Vexstar walked around the hologram, looking at Earth from different angles. "What's our recommendation for this species?" "Ignore them, sir. They're no threat to anyone. They can't leave their planet, and their planet is too dangerous for us to want. Let them fight each other until they destroy themselves." "What about their resources?" Commander Killinan checked his datapad. "Earth has some useful metals and water, but nothing we can't find on safer worlds. The cost of building equipment that could survive there isn't worth the resources we'd gain. Besides," Admiral Zofinin added, "if we wanted their planet, we could just bombard it from space. They have no orbital defenses. Their primitive weapons couldn't touch our ships." "True," General Vexstar agreed. "But we don't need their world. We have plenty of good planets already." The conversation moved on to other topics. Fleet movements, new colonies, trade routes. The humans were forgotten as quickly as they had been mentioned. Later that day, General Vexstar hosted a dinner for his senior officers. The dining hall was filled with aliens from across the Coalition. They shared stories of victory and conquest. "Remember the Battle of Sexton Prime?" General Havrin asked. His mechanical body made worry sounds as he spoke. "The enemy thought their mountain fortresses would protect them. We simply melted the mountains." Admiral Nextall laughed. Her tentacles waved with amusement. "No defense can stop Coalition firepower." "What about species that live in extreme environments?" asked Colonel Bakhchin. "Are they harder to conquer?" "Like what?" Vexter asked. "The ice dwellers of Frozen 7. They live in temperatures that would kill most of us. We conquered them from orbit." Admiral Zofinin replied. "We didn't need to land on their frozen world. We just destroyed their cities from space." "Exactly," General Vexstar said. "Environment doesn't matter if you control space. Any species stuck on one type of world is vulnerable." "What about the humans on Earth?" someone asked. "That death world might make them tough fighters." The table erupted in laughter. "Tough fighters." Commander Killinan wiped tears from his eyes. "They can't even build a spaceship that works properly. Half their space missions fail because their technology is so primitive." "I heard they tried to land on their moon and barely succeeded," General Have_Ron added. "It took them 3 tries just to get there and back." And their moon has no atmosphere and low gravity, Admiral Nex_Tal pointed out. If they struggle with that, imagine how helpless they'd be on a real world. General Vexstar raised his drink. To the humans of Earth, may they serve as a reminder that not every species is meant for the stars. The officers drank and laughed. Outside the dining hall windows, the stars looked peaceful and welcoming. The galaxy seemed large but manageable. Every world worth having would eventually belong to the coalition. Sir, a young officer asked, what happens when we run out of species to conquer? We explore the dead zones, Vexstar answered. Worlds too hostile for life but rich in resources. We'll build mining stations and factories. What kind of dead zones? Oh, worlds with crushing gravity, or burning heat, or freezing cold? Planets with poisonous atmospheres, or deadly radiation. Places where no living thing could survive. Could we live there, with enough technology, perhaps special suits, enclosed cities, artificial environments, but it would be expensive and dangerous. Admiral Zofanin's crystal body rang thoughtfully. It's interesting to think about. Worlds that are completely hostile to life, but might have valuable resources. Someday, General Vexstar said, when we've conquered all the habitable worlds, we might tackle the impossible ones, but that's a problem for future generations. The dinner ended with more stories and laughter. The coalition officers went to their quarters, confident and happy. They lived in the greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen. They had conquered hundreds of worlds and would conquer hundreds more. None of them worried about the humans. On the distant death world called Earth, none of them thought about species that might thrive in impossible places. None of them imagined that their comfortable assumptions about the galaxy might be completely wrong. In the quiet hours of the night shift, the command center continued monitoring space. Sensors scanned for enemy fleets, unusual energy signatures, and signs of new civilizations. But the sensors were programmed to look for life in habitable places. No one thought to scan the dead zones. No one looked for cities on burning worlds or frozen planets. No one imagined that while they conquered the easy places, something else might be claiming everything they thought was worthless. The coalition slept peacefully, dreaming of future victories. They had no idea that their understanding of the galaxy was about to change forever. In a few months their confident laughter would turn to worried whispers. Their certainty would become confusion. Their sense of superiority would become fear. But tonight, they were still the masters of the galaxy. Tonight, they still believed they knew everything worth knowing about the stars. 3 months passed since the Galactic Defense Coalition laughed at the humans. General Vexstar sat in his command chair, looking at the daily reports. His green scales glowed under the bright lights of the control room. Everything seemed normal, until Lieutenant Yulfan walked in. Sir, we have strange readings from the dead zones, Yulfan said. His voice shook a little. Dead zones. Vexstar looked up from his papers. Nothing lives in those places. Your equipment is broken. That's what I thought too, sir, but we checked 3 times. The scanners show metal structures on planet Furnace even. Admiral Zofanin heard this from across the room. Her crystal body made small ringing sounds as she moved. Furnace 7 has surface heat of 250 degrees. Our best ships melt there in minutes. Exactly, Yulfan said, but something built big structures there, and not just 1 or 2. We count over 50 buildings. Vexstar felt confused. Show me the data. The main screen lit up with images from Furnace 7. The planet looked like a ball of fire. Red and orange colors covered everything. But there, clear as day, were large metal buildings. They looked new and strong. This makes no sense, Zofanin said. What materials can survive that heat? We don't know, ma'am. But there's more. Yulfan's hands shook as he changed the screen. We found similar things on Ice Death Planet. Temperature there is minus 180 degrees. The new images showed a frozen world covered in white ice. But again, there were structures. These looked different from the ones on Furnace 7, but just as impossible. Commander Killinan walked into the room. Generals, I have more reports. Our deep space stations detected energy signatures from 12 different dead worlds. All places where nothing should live. 12 Vexstar stood up fast. That's not equipment failure. That's something else. Yes, sir. And the strangest report comes from Watercrush Planet. Our submarines can only go down 500 meters before the pressure destroys them. But we detected massive structures at 3,000 meters deep. Zofanin's crystal body stopped ringing. That's impossible. The water pressure would crush any known material. I know, ma'am. But our sonar doesn't lie. Something big is down there. Something that shouldn't exist. General Vexstar walked to the big window that showed space. Stars looked so peaceful from here, but now each star made him think of impossible things hiding in the darkness. What about the gas giants? He asked, sir. Yulfan looked confused. The gas giants? Storm worlds with winds that can tear our ships apart. Any signs there? Yulfan checked his datapad. His face went pale. Oh no, yes sir. Storm King Planet shows floating structures in the upper atmosphere, right in the middle of winds that move at 800 kilometers per hour. The room went quiet. All the alien officers looked at each other. Their confidence from 3 months ago was gone. There's something else, Killinan said slowly. All these structures, they're not old ruins, they're new. And they're growing. Growing. Vexstar turned around fast. Yes, sir, we compare images from last month to this month. More buildings appear, more structures. Whatever is doing this, they're still working. Admiral Zofanen walked to the central table. Her crystal hands touched the surface and brought up a galaxy map. Red dots marked all the impossible worlds with structures. Look at this pattern, she said. These aren't random locations, they form a network, like someone is connecting all the dead worlds together. General Vexstar studied the map. The red dots were everywhere, between Coalition worlds, around Coalition space, even inside their territory, all in places they thought were empty and useless. Who could do this? He asked. Which species has this technology? We checked all known species, Sir Killinan said. None of them can survive in these conditions. The thermal lizards can handle heat up to 100 degrees. The ice worms can go down to -50, but these places are far beyond what anyone can survive. What about machines? Robot builders? Possible, sir. But we detected life signs on some of these worlds. Whatever is there, it's alive. Lieutenant Yulfan looked at his datapad again. Sir, there's one more thing. On 3 of these worlds we've detected the same type of life forms. What type? Bipedal? 2 arms? 2 legs? About 1.8 meters tall, carbon-based. The room went silent again. Everyone knew what that description meant. Humans? Zofanen whispered. That's impossible, Vexstar said. Humans live on one planet. They can barely survive on their own world. How could they be on death worlds? I don't know, sir, but the biosignatures match. It's definitely the same species we studied from Earth. General Vexstar felt something he hadn't felt in years. Fear. Not fear of death and battle, but fear of the unknown. Fear of being wrong. About everything. Double-check everything, he ordered. Check the equipment, check the data, check it all again. Yes, sir. And get me more information about humans. Everything we know? How they live? How they think? What they can do? Sir, we already studied them. They're primitive. They fight each other. They haven't even left their own star system properly. Then, explain how they're building cities on worlds that would kill our best soldiers in seconds. Nobody had an answer. General Vexstar looked at the galaxy map again. All those red dots, all those impossible places. And now, maybe, all those places had humans. Send scout ships to 5 of these locations, he decided, but keep them far away. We watch only. We don't get close. Which locations, sir? Pick the most impossible ones. The places that should kill anything that gets near them. If humans are really there, we need to know how. As the meeting ended, General Vexstar stayed alone in the command room. He looked at the stars and wondered what else they had missed. What else was hiding in the places they thought were empty? For the first time in his military career, he felt like he was fighting an enemy he didn't understand. An enemy that could live where he couldn't even send his ships. The humans were supposed to be trapped on their one small world, but maybe, just maybe, they weren't trapped at all. Maybe they were spreading to every corner of the galaxy that nobody else wanted, and that thought scared him more than any battle he had ever fought. Colonel Bakshin's ship moved quietly through space toward the impossible planet. His team had the best stealth technology the Coalition ever made. They could hide from any enemy scanner, at least. That's what they thought. The planet ahead looked like a nightmare. One side faced the sun directly, glowing red-hot at 400 degrees. The other side pointed away from the sun, frozen black at -200 degrees. No atmosphere protected the surface. No life should exist there. Sensors show massive structures on both sides, reported his pilot. Major Nell, this doesn't make sense, Colonel. Nothing makes sense anymore, Bokshan replied. Get us closer, but stay hidden. Their ship had special shields that could handle some extreme heat and cold, but only for a short time. Even with their best protection, they couldn't land on either side of the planet. Colonel, look at this. Science Officer Dekmar pointed at his screen. The hot side has huge metal towers reaching up into space, and the cold side has underground cities connected by tunnels. Show me the main screen. The image made everyone silent. On the burning hot side, giant structures rose from the surface like metal mountains. They gleamed in the sun's light, somehow not melting. Smaller buildings spread out between the towers like a metal city. Switch to the cold side, Bakshin ordered. The view changed to the dark side of the planet. Here the surface looked smooth and white with ice, but their deep scanners showed enormous spaces underground. Cities carved into the rock, connected by tunnels that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. How is this possible? Nelkan asked. Our materials would melt on the hot side and crack on the cold side. And look at this, Dekmar said, excitement in his voice. There are transport systems connecting both sides. Some kind of vehicles moving through the temperature zone between hot and cold. Vehicles? What kind of vehicles can survive that temperature change? I don't know, Colonel, but they're fast. Really fast. Colonel Bakshin studied the readings. The temperature zone between the hot and cold sides changed from 400 degrees to -200 degrees in just a few kilometers. Any normal material would break from that shock. Take us closer to the hot side, he decided. I want to see who built this. Their ship moved carefully toward the burning side of the planet. The shields started working harder as the temperature rose. Warning lights flashed in the cabin. Colonel, bioscanners are picking up life signs, Dekmar reported. Multiple contacts on the surface. Life signs. In that heat, yes, sir. The readings match the pattern from our database. They're human. Bakshin felt his blood go cold, even in the hot cabin. Are you sure? Positive, sir. 2 arms, 2 legs, carbon-based, definitely human. Put it on visual. The main screen zoomed in on the surface. At first, they saw only metal and rock. Then movement caught their attention. Small figures walked between the buildings. They wore some kind of suits, but they moved easily in the terrible heat. Those are humans, Nelkin whispered. They're working in 400-degree heat like it's nothing. Look at what they're doing, Dekmar added. They're building something new, some kind of weapons platform. The humans on the screen worked with large machines, putting together metal structures. They moved with purpose and skill. This wasn't survival. This was construction. This was expansion. Switch to the cold side. Quick. The view changed to the dark side. Here, the scanners could see through the ice into the underground cities. More humans, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. They had vehicles, factories, living spaces, a whole civilization under the ice. Colonel, the communications officer spoke up. I'm picking up radio signals. Human language. Can you understand it? Some of it, sir. They're talking about mining operations and defense systems. And they're talking about us. What? They know we're here, Colonel. They're tracking our ship. Suddenly, alarms started ringing. Nelkin looked at his controls in panic. Colonel, we have incoming ships. Fast ones. From where? From the planet's surface. They launched from the hot side. On the screen, they could see 3 small ships rising from the burning surface. They moved incredibly fast, ignoring the heat that should have destroyed their engines. How can their ships work in that temperature? Nelkin asked. I don't know, but they're coming for us. Get us out of here. I'm trying, sir, but they're faster than us. The human ships closed the distance quickly. They didn't shoot, but they followed closely, too closely. They're scanning us, the communications officer reported. Their scanners are more advanced than ours. What? That's impossible, sir. They're sending a message. Put it on speaker. A human voice came through their systems, speaking in Coalition standard language. Unknown vessel, you are in restricted space. Please identify yourself and your purpose. Colonel Bakshin couldn't speak. The humans were talking to them like equals, like they owned this space. Colonel, what do we do? Nelkin asked. Run, full speed now. Their ship turned and accelerated away from the planet. The human ships followed. For a while, then stopped at the edge of the star system. They watched the Coalition ship leave, like guards making sure unwanted visitors stayed away. Did you record everything? Bakshin asked. Yes, sir. All of it. Good, because nobody will believe this without proof. As they flew back to Coalition space, Colonel Bakshin thought about what they had seen. Humans living and working in conditions that would kill any Coalition species, not just surviving, but thriving. Building cities, factories, weapons. Sir, Dekmar said quietly. If humans can do this on one impossible planet, how many other planets might they be on? Bakshan looked at the star charts. Thousands of systems marked as uninhabitable or dead. Places the Coalition never bothered to explore because nothing could live there. All of them, he said. They could be on all of them. The trip back to headquarters took 3 days. 3 days for the terrible truth to sink in. The Coalition had been mapping only the easy parts of the galaxy, the parts where life was comfortable, but the humans had claimed everything else. When they finally reached the command station, Colonel Bakshin walked straight to General Vextar's office. He carried data chips with all their recordings. General, we need to talk. Right now. What did you find, Colonel? Sir, we found humans. Lots of them, and they're not primitive anymore. Bakshin put the data chip into the projector. Images of the impossible planet filled the room. Images of human cities and places where cities shouldn't exist. General Vextar watched in silence. His face went from confusion to shock, to something like fear. How many humans did you count? He asked finally. On one planet? Maybe 10,000. But sir, that's just one planet. If they're doing this everywhere, then they're not trapped on Earth anymore, Vextar finished. They're everywhere, we can't go. Colonel Baksian nodded. Sir, I think we need to call an emergency meeting. All the generals, all the admirals, everyone needs to see this. Yes, Vextar said, they do. Because I think we just discovered that we're not alone in this galaxy, and we're not in charge anymore. The emergency meeting room filled with the Coalition's most important military leaders. General Vextar stood at the head of the long table, looking at faces he had known for decades. These aliens had conquered star systems together. They had never lost a war. Today, their confidence was gone. What you're about to see will change everything we know about this galaxy, Vextar began. Colonel Bakshan has returned from the dead zones with impossible news. General Havrin, a mechanical being with glowing red eyes, leaned forward. Sir, my scouts report similar anomalies in 17 systems, all uninhabitable by our standards. 18 systems, added Admiral Nextall, her tentacles moving nervously. My deep space fleet detected energy signatures from the radiation belt. No living thing should survive there. Captain Mordick, the Coalition's best strategic analyst, activated the main display. Generals, I've been studying the data from all our scouts. The situation is worse than we thought. The galaxy map appeared above the table. Thousands of stars glowed in different colors. Blue dots marked Coalition worlds. Green dots showed Allied territories. Red dots marked the dead zones where no one could live. But now, yellow dots appeared among the red ones. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each yellow dot represents confirmed human activity, Mordick explained. Notice the pattern. The yellow dots surrounded every Coalition system. They filled the spaces between Allied territories. They formed a network through the galaxy's most dangerous regions. This is impossible, General Havrin said. These zones have radiation that would kill our soldiers in minutes. Temperatures that would melt our ships. Gravity that would crush our strongest warriors. That's what we thought, Colonel Bokachin said. But humans don't seem to care about impossible. Admiral Nextall studied the map with her 4 eyes. Show me the tactical analysis. Captain Mordick changed the display. Now it showed Coalition fleet positions and human locations. The truth was clear and terrifying. Humans have military installations in positions we cannot reach, Mordick said. They can watch our every move from places we cannot go. They can strike at us from bases we cannot attack. Strike at us? General Vexstar asked. Do we know if they're hostile? That's not the point, sir. The point is they could be hostile, and we couldn't do anything about it. The room went quiet. These generals had spent their lives thinking about war and strategy. Now they faced an enemy they couldn't touch. Run a combat simulation, Admiral Nex_Tal ordered. Our best fleet against human positions. I already did. Ma'am, Mordick's voice was grim. We lose, every time. What do you mean we lose? We haven't even seen their weapons. We don't need to see their weapons. We can't survive in their environment. Long enough to fight, our ships would be destroyed by the planets themselves before any battle started. General Have_Ron's mechanical voice buzzed with anger. Then we attack their supply lines. Every species needs resources. Sir, look at this. More_Dick changed the display again. Humans are mining asteroids and radiation fields. They're harvesting gases from storm planets. They're extracting metals from worlds with crushing gravity. Their supply lines run through places we cannot follow. This is a nightmare, whispered Admiral Nex_Tal. It gets worse. Colonel Bach_Shan said. The humans I saw weren't struggling to survive. They were building, expanding. They looked comfortable in conditions that would kill us instantly. Captain Moore_Dick nodded. I've been studying human biology. From our old files, their home planet Earth is what we classified as a death world. High radiation, dangerous weather, toxic atmosphere in some places. They evolved to handle conditions we consider lethal. So while we were conquering the easy worlds, General Vex_Tar said slowly, they were taking the hard ones. Exactly, sir. And there are many more hard worlds than easy ones. The map changed again, showing the full scope of the galaxy. The comfortable, habitable worlds where Coalition species could live were tiny islands in an ocean of hostile environments. We control maybe 5% of the galaxy, More_Dick said. Humans potentially control the other 95%. General, Have_Ron slammed his metal fist on the table. This is unacceptable. There must be a way to fight them. How? Admiral Nex_Tal asked. Our environmental suits fail in their territory. Our ships can't land on their worlds. Our weapons are designed. For normal conditions, we could use long-range bombardment. Have_Ron suggested. Destroy their planets from space. With what? More_Dick asked. We'd need to get close enough to target them. Our ships can't survive in those star systems long enough to aim properly. Besides, Colonel Bach_Shan added, they have ships too. Ships that work in conditions that would cripple ours. In their territory, they have every advantage. The generals sat in silence, thinking about the impossible situation. For the first time in their military careers, they faced an enemy they couldn't reach and couldn't fight. What about negotiation? General Vex_Tar asked finally. Sir, Admiral Nex_Tal looked surprised. If we can't fight them, maybe we can talk to them, find out what they want. What if what they want is our territory? General Have_Ron asked. Then we're in trouble either way, but maybe they just want to be left alone in their impossible worlds. Captain More_Dick pulled up more data. Sir, I've been analyzing their expansion pattern. They're not moving toward our habitable worlds. They're spreading through the dead zones, connecting systems we never wanted. That's ... actually good news. Admiral Nex_Tal said. Maybe, or maybe they're just taking their time, building up strength before they make their move. General Vex_Tar walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Each point of light could hide human bases in places he couldn't imagine. The galaxy suddenly felt much larger and much more dangerous. Recommendations, he asked. First, we need more information, More_Dick said. We need to know how many humans are out there and what they're capable of. Second, we need to develop new technologies. General have underscore Ron added, environmental suits that can handle extreme conditions. Ships that can operate in hostile environments. Third, we need to prepare for the possibility that this changes everything. Admiral Nex underscore Tal said, we might not be the dominant species in this galaxy anymore. General Vex underscore Tar turned back to the group. Do it, all of it, and prepare a message for the Coalition Council. They need to know that the galaxy is not what we thought it was. What do we tell them, sir? Colonel Bach underscore Shan asked. The truth, that we've discovered an advanced species occupying territory we thought was empty, that they might be watching us from places we can't reach, and that for the first time in Coalition history, we might be the ones at a disadvantage. As the meeting ended, each general left with the same thought. The comfortable galaxy they had known was gone. In its place was a vast, hostile universe, where humans thrived in the darkness between the stars, and somewhere out there, in the places too dangerous for Coalition species to go, humans were building an empire in the shadows. The Coalition High Command Center buzzed with activity like never before. Messages flooded in from every corner of Coalition space. Each report brought more impossible news about human presence in the dead zones. General Vex underscore Tar stood before the massive tactical display, watching yellow dots appear faster than his staff could catalog them. Each dot represented a human installation in places where nothing should survive. Sir, incoming priority message from the Outer Rim Fleet. Communications Officer Tech underscore Lan announced, his voice shaking. Put it through. Admiral Yeg underscore Nor's image appeared on screen. Behind him, his ship's bridge showed damage and sparking controls. General, we approached the gamma radiation field to investigate energy readings. Human ships intercepted us. Their vessels, they flew through radiation that should have killed their crews instantly. Casualties Vex underscore Tar asked. None, sir. They didn't attack. They just escorted us away. Like we were trespassing in their territory. The transmission ended. General Vex underscore Tar looked around the command center. His staff watched him with frightened eyes. These were warriors who had never known defeat, now facing an enemy they couldn't comprehend. Status report, he ordered. Captain Moore underscore Dick stepped forward with his datapad. Sir, in the last 48 hours, we've confirmed human presence in 247 star systems, all previously classified as uninhabitable. 247. Admiral Zof underscore Nin's crystal body rang with shock. Yes, ma'am, and the number keeps growing. Every time we check another dead zone, we find them there. Commander Kill underscore Nan approached with another report. Sir, the pattern is clear now. Humans have installations in every type of hostile environment. Radiation zones, gravity wells, plasma storms, frozen voids, molten worlds, places where our best equipment fails in minutes. General Have underscore Ron's mechanical voice buzzed with frustration. This is strategically impossible. No species can be everywhere at once. Unless, Captain Moore underscore Dick said quietly, they've been expanding for much longer than we realized. What do you mean? Vex underscore Tar asked. Sir, we assumed humans were primitive, because they stayed on one planet. But what if they weren't staying? What if they were spreading quietly through places we never looked? The idea sent chills through the room. How long had humans been watching them? How long had they been building their impossible empire in the shadows? Incoming transmission? Tech underscore Lan announced it's from 17 different locations simultaneously. 17. Vex underscore Tar felt his heart skip. Human locations. Yes, sir. All from systems we classified as dead zones. Put it through. The main screen lit up with a simple message. The text appeared in perfect Coalition standard language. To the Galactic Defense Coalition leadership, this is the Human Frontier Alliance. We have been monitoring your activities in our region of space. We would like to establish diplomatic contact. Please respond on this frequency. The message was signed with coordinates from 17 different star systems. 17 impossible worlds where humans somehow lived and thrived. The command center fell silent. Every alien in the room stared at the screen. The humans weren't hiding anymore. They were announcing themselves. They're calling this their region of space. Admiral Nex underscore Tal whispered. How much space do they think they control? Show me the map. Vex underscore Tar ordered. The tactical display changed to show the galaxy with human positions marked. The yellow dots had spread everywhere. They surrounded Coalition space completely. They filled the gaps between all known civilizations. Oh no, General Have underscore Ron said. We're not surrounded by empty space. We're surrounded by humans. Captain Moore underscore Dick ran quick calculations. Sir, if these readings are accurate, humans control territory in over 90% of the galaxy. We've been living in small islands in their ocean, but we never saw them. Commander Kill underscore Nan protested. How could they hide such a massive presence? They weren't hiding. Colonel Bach underscore Shan said, entering the room with fresh intelligence. We were just looking in the wrong places. We searched for life in comfortable environments. They built their civilization in the places we considered worthless. What's our tactical situation? Admiral Zoff underscore Nin asked. Hopeless. More underscore Dick answered honestly. Every coalition world is within range of multiple human installations. They can watch our every move from positions we cannot reach. If they wanted to attack us, we would have no defense. But they haven't attacked. Vex underscore Tar pointed out. They sent a diplomatic message. Maybe they don't need to attack, General. Have underscore Ron said bitterly. They already control everything that matters. Another message arrived from the humans. This one included technical specifications for a meeting location, a space station in a neutral zone between coalition and human territory. They want to meet, Tech underscore Lan reported. They're proposing a diplomatic summit. A summit? Admiral Nex underscore Tal's tentacles writhed nervously. What could they want to discuss? Maybe they want to tell us the rules of their galaxy. Commander Kill underscore Nan said grimly. General Vex underscore Tar studied the human message. The language was polite but confident. The humans wrote like equals, not like a primitive species, asking for permission. Sir, Captain Moore underscore Dick said, I've analyzed their technology based on what we've observed. Their ships operate in environments that would destroy ours. Their materials survive conditions that would vaporize coalition metals. Their life support systems work in places where ours fail. You're saying they're more advanced than us? In some ways, yes. Definitely, in environmental technology. Possibly in other areas too. The terrible truth settled over the command center like a heavy blanket. The coalition had spent centuries conquering the easy parts of the galaxy, thinking they were the dominant force in space. But they had never looked in the hard places, where a different kind of civilization had been growing. What do we do? Admiral Zaf underscore Nin asked. General Vex underscore Tar looked at the faces around him. These were the best military minds in coalition space. They had won every war, conquered every enemy. Now they faced a situation where all their experience meant nothing. We respond to their message, he decided. We accept their invitation. To meet, sir, that could be a trap. General Have underscore Ron warned. If they wanted to trap us, they wouldn't need to meet us first. They could strike from any of their thousands of installations. What do we tell the Coalition Council? Commander, Kill underscore Nan asked. The truth, that we've discovered the galaxy has other owners. That we might not be the strongest species anymore. That we need to learn to share space with neighbors we never knew existed. As his staff prepared the response message, General Vex underscore Tar looked at the tactical display one more time. The galaxy looked so different now. The comfortable coalition worlds were tiny specks surrounded by vast human territory. Sir, Colonel Bach underscore Shan said quietly, what if they're not the only ones? What if there are other species out there, living in environments we can't imagine? Vex underscore Tar hadn't thought of that. If humans could thrive in radiation fields and molten worlds, what other impossible civilizations might exist in the galaxies? Strangest places, one crisis at a time. Colonel, he said, right now, we need to figure out how to coexist with the humans. Do you think they'll be reasonable? Admiral Nex underscore Tal asked. I hope so, because if they're not, we have no way to stop them. The response message was sent to all 17 human installations. It was simple and humble. The Coalition accepts your invitation to meet. We look forward to diplomatic discussions with the Human Frontier Alliance. As the message traveled through space, General Vex underscore Ta realized his entire worldview had changed in just a few days. The Coalition was no longer the master of the galaxy. They were just one civilization among many, living in the comfortable spaces while others claimed the vast hostile wilderness of the universe. For the first time in his long military career, General Vex underscore Tar was going to a meeting where he wasn't the strongest person in the room. And somehow, that felt like the beginning of a very different kind of future. The humans had been patient, building their empire in silence while the Coalition celebrated their small victories. Now, finally, it was time for both civilizations to meet as equals. Or perhaps, Vex underscore Tar thought grimly, it was time for the Coalition to discover they had never been equals at all.